everyone, and welcome to another installment of the World of Dogmen. We are about to play for you a clip regarding a species from Canis Major known as the Canis. They are a trade species that sell and trade a lot of parts and pieces to the galactic community. This is a clip from when I was on Diamond's Network 3 years ago, towards the end of my time on Diamond's Network, and you'll hear about their origin story. But after this clip, we're going to bring them through, which there has been a fight today to bring them through from the blockade that you were told about by the forest people. So this must be very important if they're really willing to risk going through this blockade. So enjoy the clip, everyone. Then these other two are a race that has never necessarily even been allowed to speak in this fashion because of the fact that they're slightly impatient to do dealings with humans. They're learning themselves about certain concepts and certain modes of operation down here. How people aren't necessarily ready for their level of how can I put it? Their level of trading. They're intergalactic, basically traders or salesmen, and they. I mean, some of them have good messages. Other ones just want to actually just trade goods. There's two that popped in tonight. Their description is, if I had to give a description, they're a dog type species. And they kind of look like a schnauzer, with the beard and the mustache. They kind of look like all old men in a way.
Well, let me say something to those two. You two, you got to start somewhere. And thanks for choosing Diamond's Broadcasting. You're safe to start here. Namaste, and the law of one to you. Highest good of all. Love you. Ruff, ruff. I'm just laughing. That was just... I love you.
And they're two standing. I think they're they look like husband and wife to me. Yeah, okay. And there's even a kid with them. Okay, yeah. So let's see. The other two, the little one and the female one were not in here moments ago. So. Either this guy's going to give a pretty good sob story or he's actually going to be legitimate. So I've been chatting with this guy a little bit, and he kind of reminds me of a used car salesman. So I'm going to Simeon is heavily filtering this in.
It's okay. He can be himself. You can be yourself. This is what it's about nowadays. Just be yourself. Let him be himself, Chris. Everything's said at the highest good of all. There's no worries. Love you guys.
Okay, we'll see what he has to say. He's actually kind of funny. I don't even know his name. He reminded me of Winston because he has the same face.
And Chris, as you're channeling, relax and have fun at it. Bring his voice and just let him go for it. You relax. You're good. Thanks.
Okay, yeah. Simeon is filtering for him because his species energy is a little strange. So I'm going to give it a second here. I don't even know where they're from or anything, so this should be interesting. Okay, I'm letting the first one through because he's representing his race at the moment. Greetings, everyone listening within earshot of my voice. My name is Winthrop, and I am of a species known as the Canis species. You would know the word Canis turning into canine on your world. Only the words of my species have ever hit your world. My species have never been able to conduct in commerce with your kind before. I will not get into that part of the logistics because I have been told that it would send the wrong particular message tonight, so I will stick to the plan as dear Simeon here has just restricted my vocals this night. So I will tell you the history of my world and my species to the extent that I personally know it. I'm here with my family this evening to introduce my race. The Canis species came from the star system you know of as Canis Major, along with one of the other dog species that you know quite well, that is the Antiqua. However, they are far older than our species by a long shot. We are newer in comparison to them and various other species. We are but children compared to species such as them. But I digress now. Our planet is known as how we would pronounce it in your tongue as Canis, or the mysterious world translated into your planet language. My species spread out from that point within the Galactic Federation's territory, do business with various other species out there in the galaxy. We became very successful at it, and in time, our species was known for trading and bartering across the cosmos. Then one day, I myself came across your world, this little blue planet within your system that has been cut off from all of creation, or at least seemingly as such, so I've been told. But I must say this, your world is very unique in regards to all that it covets, all that it bears fruit with, being artwork, being creativity, being it love, being it passion, being it fire, being it ice. All of these things, our species loves and more about your people, your soul, your fire. We want to be able to show you these things more, all in the openness of the universe. But we have come to understand this. Your species is beginning to understand variations of the cosmos that our species does not. We have grounded ourselves in commerce, but we have neglected a part of ourselves that humans have also neglected over time. Now, just awakening in the present day. Your souls, your godliness, as it were. This is a part of ourselves that we felt through our own happiness in conducting business that we would show the rest of the universe. To some species, we are considered nuisances. To others, we are considered best friends. To your species, I can say this, we would love to make friends with your kind, and we hope to one day do so, but it will have to be within this particular construct currently, even though my species does walk amongst your kind and has observed you for the past decade or so. We have remained in the shadows and have read your literature, have watched your customs, and have observed various, as you say, language oversights. I believe that is the term that I am attempting to conjure. This particular oversight will be rectified one of these days when my species can walk side by side with yours in full recognition of each other. This full recognition will not come all at once, I am afraid, but might just know that my species, the Canis, walk among you and do trade with you on a not so frequent basis. We frequent markets, bazaars, large gatherings of people, and as you say, a trader aspect. There would only be a couple of us there at any given time, but out in the vast cosmos, we covet whole worlds that are designed for this very purpose. This is our passion. This is our form of happiness. I have this message for your kind, that if you wish to tap into that soul of yours that our species is beginning to really tap into, find out there and within what makes you happy. If it means running a business, so be it. If that means writing a book, so be it. If it means trading, so be it. If it means even taking a walk out in nature, so be it. My people come from a proud, industrious people that came from a world made of nothing but purple and blue trees. The sky is of a purplish and yellowish hue, and the grasses are of a purplish and greenish nature. Our kind evolved from a species similar to your dog kind, and we also carry some of the Antiqua genes within us because it was they who seeded our world to begin with amongst various other species worlds. This is a history that some of us do not all know, but some of us do. That in the beginning on our planet, when we were in our infancy, the species you know of as the Antiqua showed, and augmented a species that already walked the planet that was there. They included some of their own DNA and various other DNAs from around the cosmos. This is how we began to be able to walk upright, and this is how we began the journey to where we are now, to the intergalactic salespeople that the cosmos knows us to be today. Most of the species that you have ever heard of were not naturally born. They were seeded amongst all the worlds in your current cosmos, either by the Antiqua or the ones you know of as the Anunnaki or the Orion people. This is as a known fact in our world, but on yours it is known more or less as a religion or as a spiritual belief. This will change in the not so distant future, but as I have been told by this one's guide, Simeon, time is very fleeting and not necessarily a true construct as some species recognize it to be. The ones that don't recognize the concept of time are the ones that have surpassed all other expectations within your current, as you say, expression. But I digress in that. We are more of an even footing than you know. Just know that the Canis people are watching in friendship and in trade, and we hope to do so one day with your species. Goodbye for now. Thank you.
Well, hold on a minute. Thank you for sharing your species and what you're like with us here on Diamonds Network. And I have one question for you. You know, you frequent like bazaars and stuff like that. So I'm sure you talked amongst yourselves regarding the humans on Earth sometimes. So what are some of the things that when you're out with us that make you go, huh? That humans do, that make you go, huh? What? Or that's kind of weird, or what kind of thing is that? You know, so, can you share with us just a couple things that stands out to you guys that are way different than your species, the human race?
Yes, the one thing that we have noticed that stands out, actually two things, your use of language and your use of color schemes. Your use of language and the slang, as you say, that you create within your society is most fascinating to us. And also the color schemes that go with different cultures and different backgrounds, different religions and the like. This is something that we don't necessarily have. We have a more, not necessarily united front, as you would say, but our species is our culture. Our planet is much smaller than your own, and we have a slightly smaller population that we started with on our world, but it spread throughout the cosmos, and now we have far more. But we did not have separate cultures or necessarily separate races. We had just one species that we recognized, but on your world, you have so many different cultures that have different language quirks, as you would say, and different color schemes. This is something that fascinates us. This also translates to different artwork and to different, as you say, phrases and quotes. This is something that we wish to trade with you when the time is right.
Well, thank you for that. And thank you for coming to Diamonds Network for the very first time. You say that you came to talk to Earth humans. Thank you so much. Namaste to you. I honor the power in you as you honor the power in us. Thank you so much.
And we bid you this greeting. My people would say something similar to your namaste. So I will say that my people do recognize the worth that your people can give to the rest of the universe. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're back. So now I will attempt to bring through one of the Canis. This may not be as long of a channeling as you're used to because there's already interference, like we said, from this blockade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call out to a specific one, which there's Winthrop and War Mob.
Yeah.
Yes, those are the two that we've always dealt with. Winthrop was the one from the Diamonds channeling you just heard, and Winthrop came through a few years back, or a couple years back, when we were on the lifting, and he also came through to somebody I read back then. And they, this is actually kind of funny. Before we go into the channeling, I will talk about this. Back in 2017, when War Mob came through, he actually said that they had put a message in not only the Earth Akashic at the time, but through the voice to skull technology. And that was basically introducing themselves as a race and a species to all of mankind. The galactic community kind of got irritated by that because it was put on a loop, and eventually channelers were starting to hear it too, in bits and pieces, not the whole thing. So it wasn't really working out, so it got removed when the audit of the Akashic took place and the voice to skull tech that was out there. They also, as was said in the lifting episode, I'm sorry folks, distractions right on cue here, as usual. They actually are restricted by military, and they also take human form when they're trading in human bazaars and human markets. They may have some language differences, but they've studied our culture enough to where they know enough about us to be able to make friends. Every now and again, somebody might see through their disguise and see like a dog-like face briefly, and it might spook somebody. And it has. I've heard some cases of people seeing humans turning into dogs. Even though that's the werewolf thing, there's another one where it had to do with like a face fluctuation, like you'd see on the show Grimm. It's kind of like that, where the holographic thing fails because of the magnetic fields here and the energy fields. But at any rate, I'm going to bring through one of these two, or a benevolent one of their kind that we have not heard from. There is a very noisy bird here circling us here and flying over the house. So that sometimes will happen when there's a warning as well, when nature is trying to warn you about something. So for me, it's always been like hawks, crows, ravens. So this one was pretty close. So let me see here. So I'll have to make this channeling very brief because of the already existing interference. And sorry about the guy using the power tools. That's, again, more preset distractions here. So even though he was here before us, still, it's the condition that exists as we're trying to do this. So let me see here. All right. Okay, Winthrop, War Mob, or Benevolent Canis, please come to us now. If you are inclined to do so, or at least give messages of what you wish to bring through on the current state of affairs with your people. And don't ask me what the episode name or title or number is for that lifting episode where War Mob came through. I have no idea. I just know it's one of the earlier episodes from a little bit after we first started when we were in Virginia. So it's an earlier number. So let me see here. I can feel the buildup, but I also feel the buildup from the blockade interference. Okay. Yeah, because I feel that belt trying around the head. The hat here helps, folks. Well, the shungite that you see here, and of course, aluminum. So, all right. Okay. Any member of the Canis, benevolent member of the Canis, please, without any conflicting agendas. Thank you. All right. Now I'm feeling somebody. Okay. Okay. This person is saying briefly speak. So they're in a hurry. So a moment. Yeah, they said yes. The distractions are already building to try to inhibit channeling. So okay. Okay. What is your name, please? So we have it for the record. Is it you, Winthrop, or War Mob, or are you somebody else? Oh, you're someone else. Okay, what is your name? Lindup? Is that how you pronounce your name? Lindup? Okay. Lindup. Okay, got it. All right. Looks like a schnauzer, like what was said in the recording. Mustache, beard, kind of has this Fu Manchu thing going on mixed with schnauzer features. A little shorter snout, brown hair, lighter brown, almost blonde. So, let's see, Lindop. You come in. I know you're using technology to do this channeling, because I can feel it. Yes. Because your species is not completely naturally hyper-telepathic, is it? No. Alright. We can expand our will and mind's eye through another form of headband, very much like the blockade is using currently. We use similar tech, but the person that is receiving the message would not feel this band as readily because there is not malicious intent behind. You see, the forceful misintent or ill intent creates the echo of the headband, as was previously said about the blockade. Ours is more of a gentle nudge, so therefore you wouldn't feel the band as readily, or the object initiating the telepathic or psychic field. I must be brief because our presence currently is being shunned by your military blockade, and many interferences can come around our presence. This is not something we wish. So, at this moment in time, you may ask me some questions.
Oh, well, thank you. So in general, I think it was very interesting because when we were reflecting back upon the Dogmen show that Winthrop was a part of, he, now we realize, was coming across because he was very restricted in what he could actually talk about. In fact, there was actually a little bit of conflicting information where it was made to sound kind of like you guys were reaching out and talking to us for the first time, but then actually there was information that says you've been walking amongst us for the last decade. In your own way. I'm assuming you were walking amongst us in your own way without knowledge of other people, is what I'm guessing. So I was hoping that you could kind of expand upon the relationship that you've had with humanity over the last 20 years, either unknown, unofficially, or even officially, and who is actually officially trading with you guys.
All types of beings are officially trading with us out in the galaxy. However, on Earth, there are humans and human military and other aliens on Earth trading with us at this time. For the past 10 to 20 years, yes, we have been interacting with your kind. Winthrop was restricted in his speech because of the fact that Dear Simeon, or that Orion presence was around, restricting his speech. You see, the Orion councils out there were restricting any species that come into the system that trade with humans. But you can get away with it if you wear a disguise, you see. This is also why other races kind of go, oops, and let their craft appear. Then they can blame it on magnetic occurrences and the like. We can do this with our own face, but revealing our own face has spooked many a human into not wanting to trade with us. They see our dog features and they think werewolf. So, I will actually go into this briefly about your military restrictions that they are trying to impose upon us. We wish to expand further to reveal ourselves to your kind. Now we know we cannot do this in a large burst, but it is not as lengthy of a process as one might think that it needs to be. Yes, we have shown impatience in the past by putting messages in the Akesh and the voice-to-skull technology, which irritated your military-industrial complex to no end because they could not remove said message. Channelers were picking up on it and thinking that it was just a message of love and light. It was not getting through to them that it was not angelic. So we also volunteered to cut the cord after a while. We have remained silent for a little while in our, you would say, channeling and telepathic capability, even though we're using technology. We have chosen to remain, as you would say, underneath the radar for just a little while, even though we are acting amongst your kind. Even beyond 20 years ago, mind you, we were still interacting with your kind, even in some of your ancient times. We interacted with your people. And there's even records of us trading with your kind. So the reason Winthrop had to say only recent is because that was part of the verbal restriction. He was speaking the truth when he stated that we had been around a while. We trade with humans, as we've said, human military, aliens, and any other elemental race that happens to come into our purview. As dear Winthrop said, some of us are shunned out in the galaxy, while some of us are friends with other races. Forgive some of the intrusions upon the speech. The blockade is being persistent. I will not have my speech restricted, so anything that you wish to know in this brief period, I can talk about. Within the bases that we move within, your kind are very restrictive towards telepathic communications to the rest of your kind. Like in your Alaska base, for instance, there are signage up there, signage pieces put up there saying you will not engage in any mental contact or telepathic contact, or respond to any telepathic contact from surface humans. And that is actually written as law. We can get away with this now because we are in a spot in your underground that, even though they know about it, it is within a territory that has been reserved for us. We are not within your military industrial complex's territory. We are within our own that was designated for us. And we do have structures underground that have been designated for us and built by some of our people in antiquity. So, at this point, we can have some more questions.
Well, I have several. It's very interesting that you said you were given a space that's sovereign for you. Is that a common practice? Because in general, you come from the Canis, Canis, I think is the name of your home world. You actually come from a different place, but you don't have a colony here, do you? People, is this just a resting place for your people, or an operations base for your people, whatever's underneath the ground?
Yes, it is an operations base, but we are attempting to form a colony. We wish our presence to be known to people. And yes, the military did designate a section of land for us, even though some of our people built it in antiquity. We were restricted to it, very much like your Native American peoples were restricted to reservations 200 years ago. So this is what has been done to us. We still are restricted from revealing our true face to people, but we do get away with it from time to time. We do get to interact with people in that respect very briefly. This is a common practice with several alien races, you would say, or ET races on your world, that they actually have parcels of land either that they're restricted to or they own sovereign territory that they will claim even to their dying breath that they traded the Cabal and your military-industrial complex for. This may even be parcels of land that humans have titleship over. Cities, townships, villages, even whole neighborhoods may have, walking beneath them, races that will claim sovereignty at some point. You see, your Nazi regime and or Cabal was planning on ridding the earth of all the unnecessary people. Therefore, those races would have just waltzed right into those neighborhoods and taken over the land they felt was rightfully theirs. But since those humans will never die or never be kicked off the land, you see, those races, some of them are becoming impatient and harassing people from underneath the ground or from above. This is another part of this story that humans do not always wish to hear. Your Nazi regime wanted to create an obedient set of Aryan race people, you see, isolated in compounds, in mountain areas, and in isolated areas of your planet. This started to work to a certain extent, but the thing of it is, the problem was for them, none of the races would allow them to exterminate all the rest of the surface humans, whether the agenda was for their own race or not. They would not allow this. But the races that were given parcels of land to began to get impatient. Very impatient and very belligerent. So they started entering certain disorders, diseases, viruses into the foods in some instances. Not all of it. Some of it's your military and some of it's the Cabal. Water, all of it. Other poisons. We're not saying your human race is responsible for all of this. They just go along with it. They were hoping that people would be distracted enough in their daily lives not to notice these things happening, but what you would call a miracle occurred. The human genome adapted, and it continues to adapt. Even though there are poisons that are not completely adaptable to, your kind began to adapt and create codexes within the self that could be delivered to others. This immunity could be delivered to others. This began to annoy these other races because they felt their timetable was being circumvented and promises that they were promised were being circumvented. Sound familiar? Very much like your Native American race was given promises of wealth and given promises of their land would be returned to them. No. The same lies were given, except your Cabal wasn't really completely lying about this, even though they were plotting and scheming. They had actually intended to cause an extermination event per your Georgia Guidestone timing. There are certain windows that they could apply these timings. But each and every one of them has failed, you see. Races out there helped, and your own kind became immune to all these sicknesses. This is also another reason the human genome is so coveted, because it is so adaptable to these poisonous situations, the poisonous air, the brain's ability to adapt to not only the blockade, but voice to skull and all various other forms of mental harassment, like telepathy, like gaining an immunity to a virus. Eventually all humans will have this capability, you see. This is the only reason your source has allowed some of these things, because then the immunity that's gained will make sure that future generations never have to go through this, but also have the information through the genetic memory, you see. These other races still continue to be belligerent and claim sovereignty in the individual territories that they have claimed. And they may have even had some of these territories for decades. And they were promised these territories, again, by your military, very much like the Talarian race you communicated with recently, which you call casino aliens. They were promised those sovereign bits of territory and business transaction holdings and dealings. And there are other henchmen races, you would call them, that also have similar holdings within your society. There are at least, as you know it to be, 40 different races that are doing experiments. At least half of these are henchmen races, as you would dictate them to be. And Source will reveal these races when Source is ready to do so. to bring out the information on each and every one of these, to basically, as you would say, peel that band-aid off that much slower for the Orions, as you would say. So, more questions?
Yeah, I'm really kind of curious about, again, this has been 3 years since since the first communication, and now 3 years later, now that there's been a lot of clearing here, there's been a lot of understanding to get rid of guides, as we tell other people, if it no longer serves you, then move past it. And so obviously this type of conversation, this frank conversation, could have never occurred any earlier than it's occurring right now.
No.
I'm assuming you guys knew this moment would come. Many people, can get out there and see they're going to do it, they're going to do it. What I'm curious about is, here you are now, been given a territory underground, you're feeling it's a sovereign piece of territory, and you can then thus sit here and communicate like you're communicating. But aren't you worried about ramifications of this frank openness amongst these other races and amongst the ones who want to dominate humans and the like, who want to dominate and control still the humans on Earth? Aren't you a bit, won't this affect your trading, or are you trading in things that are so valuable now to humanity that they're going to have to overlook this?
They will overlook this, even though there is harassment today to get us to stop doing this, because once this is spoken, it enters into what you call the Akesh and is available to all of mankind. Since we cannot put a recording out there other than what we are doing currently, this is the method of choice, like with various other species, because the information gets out there, therefore begins to open up within your unity consciousness of humanity, or the grid of humanity, as you would call it. Therefore, uploading and downloading to people in various ways. Now, as for trading things of value that the Cabal and your military-industrial complex would have no choice, yes. We, in our opinion, believe this is true. We do have things of value that your human race here would covet and be able to use for various technologies. It is actually an upgrade from where you have it now. It is not always as strong as what your Cabal, Nazis, and military-industrial complex have, mind you, because we are actually, as you would say, picking the bones of ruins, you would say, not necessarily in remains of people, but we are picking ruins apart, looking for ancient technology that the Orions and all of them have left behind. But they have picked some of them clean over the centuries as well. But we have found various things that could aid your people, various stones, various augmented pieces of technology that you could augment your computers with to basically compete, as you would say, with what the military currently has, even if you have a lesser standardized computer or vehicle. What we have is we can give things that can attach to your vehicles to make them not dependent on fossil fuels. The engine would then be dependent on the device that we would provide. You would no longer have to purchase gasoline. This is another reason why they fight us coming out. You would never have to use fossil fuels again. It is a form of, you would say, zero-point energy, but it's more complicated than that. It is a cylinder very much like some of your engine cylinders are. It is roughly 4 inches high by 3 inches wide, and it has a stone core within it that is capable of quantifying or quantively reinitializing your car's capabilities. You would never have to put a drop of gasoline again. You could even do this to some of your older vehicles. You see, people call us the used car salesman. Well, here you are. This particular device could be attached to any type of vehicle, be it motorcycle, car, or any sort of engine that has working components within it and mechanical components within it. Even a really old, what you would call Model T, this would work on. This in turn would make it so you never had to purchase gas and you never had to upgrade your vehicle. This is one of the things that they do not wish us to release. This would be an upgrade that, even though it would be minor in retrospect, of the entire cosmos, it would be major to all of you, because not a dime would be spent with these. However, we do trade with people. You have things of value that the galactic community wishes, very much like your stone called amethyst, that is unique to the planet Earth and the Nexus Point. There are so many other mining rights that these races want out there to take mining plots and resources. I would not allow this if I were you, because you hold sovereignty over the Earth. We are just merely living on your planet, and we respect your laws and your trade dealings. Granted, you have been told to declare these areas neutral, which helps greatly. But this is still your own holdings as a planet-wide species, and it is up to you whether you want to trade any of these things or not. Amethyst would upgrade some of the technologies we have out in the galaxy, and other races have out in the galaxy, you see. Though it is a type of quartz which is very, very common to the cosmos, amethyst in particular came through in a multi-dimensional way, only indicative to your nexus point. Even if this something similar had happened in another nexus point, it wouldn't happen in the same configuration. You just happen to have it in the configuration that is very potent. Even though amethyst is a healing stone, it is something that your Earth and this nexus point and the multiverse brought in this folding of the timelines, though this happened a long, long time ago. I know it is very confusing. Do not think of this in a linear fashion. Think of it as a parallel ladder-like fashion. But in any case, the stone amethyst is highly coveted by your galactic community in all respects, but yet it is denied access to. This is something that we would definitely take in trade for anything that we would give. You are not getting the raw end of the deal in that respect. Thank you.
Well, thanks. So, as intergalactic traders, and again, the first person we spoke to brought his whole family, it seems like, was on the ship. So you guys, will bring your whole families along, and things like this. So not only do you have a home world, but many times it seems that some of you choose a very spacefaring type of lifelong life in the, doing this type of trading with I'm assuming visits to home. But so I find that very interesting as a culture. What I am curious about, because I don't believe you're the only traders. You're known as intergalactic traders, but there's plenty of trading that goes on.
Oh, yes.
So, unfortunately, just like here on Earth, where you have some systems in place where commerce is actually of a, not so kind basis. I'll use the examples of the rumors of the organs being harvested from China on a regular basis from prisoners and people that they have now chosen to be prisoners, honestly, just for the purpose of organ harvesting, I hate to say. But so I am curious whether or not you have your limits of what you would trade, what you will be a part of.
We would not be part of any of the organ trading that is for other species, but we would never be a part of such atrocities. We, however, would trade in technology, in stones, crystals, and the like, also clothing, fabrics, and also literature. These are the things that we are generally interested in. Yes, there are other races that do trade. However, they trade in various other things, like you said, the organs. Those organs don't just go to your military, they get traded to other races who use them to augment their own races. This, grant you, can also apply to codexes, but not in this, as you would say, nasty and malignant fashion. But in the various applications that we have spoke about, fabrics, literature, stones, crystals, and the like, and even trading in stories and speech, we wish to do all of these things and more.
Great, thank you. I felt that needed to be out there on record. What is it you participate in and will not participate in? And although there are traders that have no lines, they don't have any lines. I hate to say it, but it's the same way here on Earth, and it's the same way out there, where sometimes people have lines and sometimes people don't. So I'm actually, just going to let you close this. Again, I know you have. You share the world. I think you share your world, the Canis, with also beings like the Antiqua still present on that world.
Indeed, they are present in the same solar system. In fact, they orbit the same star we do. However, we came much later than they did, even though they seeded us and transformed an already existing species. We do indeed interact with them. We do not see them as gods, deities, or even figures above us in any way, shape, or form. We see them more or less as parents, sometimes as wise advisors, or as family. However, some people don't realize is they too were seeded. They too were created. But they went the more positive route, you would say, and balanced route. Even though they do conduct genetic experiments, they did it as a form of procreation. And they succeeded in many ways, one of which was our species.
So are there other races that were seeded beside yourself, besides the Antiqua, that we would consider more of a dog species? Are there more out there in that area that live in the surrounding planets?
Indeed, not necessarily in the surrounding planets, but different parts of your galaxy. There is a race of dogmen that look more like your bulldogs. They were a seeded race by your Orion councils with canine DNA. However, they are not as technologically advanced as, say, the Antiqua, because the Antiqua have had much longer to evolve these processes. They are more at your level of technological standing and scientific standing. There are many other dog-like races within the two galaxies, one you call Andromeda and one now you call the Milky Way. But, however, if there are more than these, I do not know of them. It is not doubtful to us that they exist, but these are a couple that we know of.
Great. Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate this conversation. Again, any last words? And quickly, talk about your family structure and child rearing upbringing, a little bit of that.
Very similar to your own people. On our world, we live in homes very much like you do, not in neighborhood structures like this. Some are in rocks, some are in wooded areas, and vast open, you would say, road-like areas, very much like your highways, but narrower. We would consider even some of the dirt roads our rural highways. It's not like we have city structures like yours. No, we have mainly rural type structures, or how you would have farms, farming communities, and farmhouses, how they would be spread apart, very much like that. We left it that way so that the vastness of nature could be utilized in that respect. Our families, as we've said, very much like yours. We have the same sexual organs as yours. We have the same family structures, male-female parts, male-female children, all the same as your own. Our customs are even very, very similar, because there has been some influence on your Earth, not only by us but the Antiqua, to have similar customs in that respect. So your species and mine are not too different.
Well, thank you. Well, I appreciate that. So I think we'll end it here. I'll leave it, again, any last words of importance you wanted to say through this time?
Indeed. Just know that what you consider to be disclosure and what the galactic community considers to be disclosure is not necessarily the same. Yes, you have been given all of the information through your science fiction. Even our people were present in your Doctor Who program, I might add. Those concepts, yes, they do work, but not all of you are noticing this. We are not laying blame. We are just saying the species that you've seen in your various shows, such as your Grimm that you watch, and various other shows such as Doctor Who, Star Trek, and the like, are all in existence around you, watching you, both loving and hating you. This is what we see from our perspective, but it is also your kind that is just as equally as active in this, like your military cabal and the like. However, as times change and as timelines change, you will begin to see what's more and more around you. Now, do we wish and are we impatient enough to want to trade with you now because we know you need this as much as we do? Yes, indeed. And is there a bit of an agenda in there? Yes, there is. Is it slightly self-serving? Yes, but it is also serving to yourselves as well. This is what you would call applicable agendas or matching agendas. And for any species to say they do not have an agenda, including your own government, including your own people, no. There is always an agenda in play. It's just whether it is self-serving or service to others or a blending of both, because they are serving themselves as well as serving others in the respect that even if they have a conflicting agenda, you are learning about it, therefore it is also serving you in some fashion. So just know that disclosure is happening around you, as is interference, so that you won't put two and two together. My species, even though this was a brief contact and has had a long gap in between the contact, this has been a wondrous time, and we will attempt to make that gap for the next time shorter. Thank you all. All right. Ooh. Yeah, he had to zip away really quick. That's why he was speeding up there for a minute. He was getting too noticed by military, so they cut the conduit off. But yeah, this he went that direction towards the rocks over here and then out. So wherever he was transmitting them from was that way. I hope this was a helpful episode of the world of Dogmen. This was one that was a long time coming. I was hoping this one would happen. So thank you everyone for watching this, all our Patreon people for watching this. We'll try to find more of these unusual races and unusual situations for you to consume on our Patreon channel. So thank you everyone.
Bye, guys.